Hi, Riff. Leonard here. Great to hear from you. And I put together this video audit for you and your team where I'm going to go over 6 different areas that I think you all should focus on going into 2019. Now, technically, this is an SEO audit, but as you'll see, I talk about other areas like social media and content because at the end of the day, whether it's SEO or social media or any online marketing tactic, the goal at the end of the day is to improve your online visibility so that more prospective clients can find you and enroll their students into the tutoring center. So if you didn't catch anything in the video, I wouldn't worry too much. I'm actually going to provide a high level summary in my email. And any reports that I go over, I'm also going to include those as attachments. So just wanted you to kind of get some of the main ideas here. And if you have any questions or need any clarification, we're on Facebook. You'll have my email. Feel free to reach out. Now, as you can see now, I'm on your homepage, and I'll start with some of the things that I really like that you guys are doing. I like that you have a video front and center. That's very good. I would say the only and maybe a modification I would make, maybe have someone from the team actually speaking at the end. I know there are a ton of people on Fiverr or websites like that where you can have those slideshow and then towards the end actually have someone speaking and have it all merge seamlessly. But that would tell parents right away whether they will vibe with you because it's not just your skill set, but the chemistry there. Will you be able to work with their child? Would you be able to work with the parents? And you don't want someone coming to your website, booking an appointment to come visit, and it just doesn't vibe well. So having someone from the team, usually it's going to be the team leader or manager, is going to be the best way to go for those videos. But nevertheless, really good job of putting that video front and center on the homepage. Another thing that I like that you're doing is you have this consultation form pretty much on every page of the website here on the right hand side. I think that's great because when someone lands on your website, study shows that they typically read the website in a F-shaped pattern. So let's say if I came to your home page for the first time, I'm going to read across here, then I'm going to go a little further down, I'm going to read across here, and then keep on going down. And when you have that consultation form right in the line of sight, then you are improving the probability that someone's actually going to fill that in. So good job and good strategy there. I would say for this part, I would highly consider, and actually this is recommended to move this information. So your address, your phone number, and your email, I'll actually move that all down here to the footer. That way it's on every page of the website and really benefits your local SEO, which I'll talk about at the end of the video. And then that will give you the opportunity to move the consultation form up so that it's more prominent on the home page. And then, the last thing that I really like that you all are doing, you have a really good blog. It looks like you guys blog once per month, and that's great. I think that's usually one of the hardest things for business owners to find time for with their website is to regularly update the blog. But it looks like you all have a really good schedule and strategy going, so kudos to you there. Now, some of the things I would improve, and I'm going to start with the website. So if you just scroll through the website, you'll see that there's these little, well, they used to be images, but now it's nothing there. So I would just go through and make sure to clean those up because I confirmed it's not my internet connection, but it looks like that particular image file either is old or outdated. And you just want to make sure that's showing up correctly on the website. And there are a few other examples I saw that on other pages. So just make sure you go through page by page and clean that up. Now, before I get into the technical SEO part, there are a few things I want to bring your attention to on the website. So if you look at the top of the page here, this little box that popped up, that's called your title tag. And there are some good elements that you're doing here. You include Sugarland, you include the name of the center, and then you include what your focus is. What I would do is first, this needs to be much shorter, so no more than 65 characters. And I would do something like this. The Tutoring Center, type symbol, Sugarland, tutoring academic programs for K-12. And leave it at that. That still might be too long, but just find a way to shorten it so it's not too long. And the risk when the title tag is too long, you'll see this sometimes in the search results. You see how it's just kind of cut off here with the 3 ellipses dots? So you want to make sure that you make your point clear in the space that you're allotted. Okay, so moving on from there. So, and then just kind of go through every page on a website with that same approach. So tuition and fees, that's really good. Typically what I would do, always instead of except for the home page, I would include the tutoring center at the back of the title tag. So for example, this would be something like Sugarland Tutoring Center, tuition and fees, the little pipe symbol, and then the tutoring center. Whatever the case, you want to be consistent with that, and you usually want to include Sugarland, somewhere in the front because that's your focus, your target area, Sugarland. So that should always be towards the front of the title tag. Now, I use a tool called SEMrush to run an audit on your website for the technical part. You see overall you have a score of 77, which is, a very good start. You can see here you have 672 errors, 576 warnings, and 526 notices. So I wouldn't be too concerned with the numbers there. They are kind of large, but definitely you want to prioritize fixing these errors. And then once you fix all the errors, then you want to move on to the warnings and then to the notices. Now, if we dig deep into the errors, I noticed that there are a lot of issues with your meta tags. So your title tags, which we just went over, your meta descriptions. Meta descriptions are this little snippet of text here. So for these guys, it would be studying for the SAT and Sugarland, blah, blah, blah. And then, so those are some of your main issues. So you want to make sure that each page on your website has a unique title tag and a unique meta description. Very good SEO practice to follow. Other than that, it looks like you have some issues with duplicate content. So you want to just make sure that if there's content on one page of the website, it's not there for any other pages. And then some issues with mixed content, which means basically your site is HTTPS. So that means it has an SSL certificate, but somewhere on your website, you're linking to unsecured resources. And those are usually going to be from third-party websites. So just make sure that if you're linking to those third-party resources, that you actually use the HTTPS version of their site. And this is very common, especially if your website is at least a few years old, because maybe when you were first putting the website together, there wasn't an HTTPS version of anything you were linking to, but now there is. So you want to make sure you go back and link to those HTTPS versions of resources. So I will share a detailed report that will list out all the issues, but these are the errors and these are what I would prioritize kind of as my first step for any SEO optimization. One question I always get, will fixing these things actually have a dramatic impact? And fixing one issue or two issues might not have a drastic impact on your search engine standing, but you see there are over 200 issues. If you fix all of these, it's definitely going to position your website to have a stronger foundation to improve your organic visibility on Google, Yahoo, Bing, and so on. So it's always my first step. It's not the most exciting, but it sets the foundation for what you're doing later on with your SEO and marketing efforts. So moving on from there, I ran a speed test on your website. So this is a tool I use called Pingdom, and you have a performance rate of a D, 65, and the load time is 1.4 seconds. So that load time is actually not that bad, but there are some low-hanging fruit here where you can pass on to whoever manages your website, and you can bring this performance grade up even more, and this load time, you can decrease it even more. But usually I aim for 2 to 3 seconds for a load time. After anything under that, then you just start having diminishing returns. But there are some things that if you have a developer or access to a developer, they should be able to clean some of these things up fairly quickly. So I'll share a screenshot of this so you'll know what those issues are, and you can pass along to whoever manages your website. I checked the mobile friendliness of your website. It's mobile friendly, so great job there. It's going to take a little time to load, but yeah, page is mobile friendly. So in addition to this, one thing I would recommend is that this is kind of like the bare minimum. Your website isn't seen as hard to use by Google. But what I would do, I would take opportunities to do spot checks. So I would look on my own mobile phone. I would look on, my significant other or my friends or family's mobile phones. And basically the idea here is that you want to check out your website on different devices to make sure that it looks good across all devices. For example, it might look really good on an iPad, but if I go to an iPhone or even to an Android, some of the elements on your website might look a little bit off because they all have different dimensions. So that's why you want to make sure you just look on every device you can and make sure that nothing looks off. And then the last piece of the technical SEO review, I reviewed the website for something called structured data. This is also referred to as JSON LD schema. And as you can see here, I ran your website through this tool, and there was no schema detected. So what is schema exactly? So schema in a nutshell are different special snippets of code that you add to your website, and these snippets of code add more contextual information about your business. So as you know, Google, Bing, Yahoo, they're pretty much all their processes when it comes to reviewing a website or ranking a website are all automated by very advanced computers called crawlers. And when these websites or when these crawlers review your website, okay, they might understand some of your text, but what they're really looking at is the code. And when you add snippet, these JSON LD snippets, it gives more contextual information, such as you're a tutoring center, you're a learning center based in Sugar Land. These are your opening hours. These are the different groups that you work with. What else? If there's a person that's associated, maybe the owner or the manager, maybe if they have a public profile, adding a person schema would basically link that personal profile with the tutoring center Sugarland. So these are all good things. They add more context to your website and give the search engine crawlers more information. When you give the search engine crawlers more information, they better know how to rank your website. And that's, anytime you make it easier or provide more information about your business, then it becomes easier to rank your website. You're usually going to see a positive benefit, or that's kind of the same thing, but you're going to see a benefit with your rankings. So I'm actually in my email, I'm going to include the types of schema you should look to add to your website. But this is a very low-hanging fruit. Again, if you pass on to a developer, they probably will be able to add it in 15 or 20 minutes. So definitely make sure you take a look at that. Okay, so moving on. So that pretty much wraps up your on-page SEO. Moving on to off-page SEO. So off-page SEO, this in online marketing, this is commonly referred to as a link building. And this is pretty much PR, right? You reach out to a website, maybe it's a local website in Sugarland, or maybe it's a website related to tutoring programs or to, learning disabilities. And you say, hey, we're a tutoring center in Sugarland. We wrote this great blog article. Why don't you link to us? So basically linking from their website to your website. So, and this is very important for your SEO because one, through that backlink, you're able to drive what's called referral traffic to your website from their website. And number two, backlinks, since Google and the other search engines came into existence, backlinks have always been a major factor in a ranking algorithm. So the more relevant, high quality backlinks that you have, that your website has, the better you position your website to rank well. So I did a scan of your backlinks and there wasn't much here. So I would say, once you clean up your on-page SEO, this would probably be your biggest area of opportunity. So these are all kind of like directory websites and just different like website valuation websites, but nothing really high quality and substantial here. And so one place you can start is looking at those websites who are linking to your competitors. So basically, I did some Google searches and found those websites that are ranking well for terms like Tutoring Center Sugarland or Math Helps Sugarland or Math Learning Center Sugarland. And these are, I got a list of maybe about, almost 4,000 different websites that you can go after. And obviously, that's a ton of websites. So the way I would prioritize this, it gives SEMrush, it gives each website a domain score and a trust score. And they go hand in hand. And I would just use these in combination and go after those websites that have the highest domain score and highest trust score, and then work my way down the list from there. And one part of this is that you might not have any content assets that would make sense to build a backlink for. So in that case, you would create a content asset. So for example, this first article here, it's from scholastic.com. It says 10 common challenges and best practices for teaching students with ADHD. So I know from what Riv sent me, that's one of your focus. So you might want to, write a blog article about challenges and best practices for ADHD. And then once that article is published, then you reach out to this particular website and ask them for a backlink. Now, as with anything else, you're going to get no's. You're definitely going to get some rejections, but it's more about going after the right websites, making your communication personable. So trying to find a direct email to the editor or the website webmaster, using their name if you can find it, and then building a relationship that way instead of just sending out a mass spammy email to 4,000 different people. So that would be my advice there. Now, the second strategy you can take a look at for building backlinks is looking at local websites. So let's say if Channel 13, ABC Channel 13, if they did a news story on, we're kind of in the heat of college prep season, college application season, if they did a news story on tips for high schools, juniors, and seniors taking their SAT and ACT tests. Well, since you offer this program, you're pretty much an expert in that area. So finding those opportunities where you can, showcase your expertise either with a news story on their website, or even better, getting a featured on the news broadcast, that can go a long way into, building your backlink profile and really competing with some of these major companies like Sylvan or Kaplan. So definitely recommend it. There's also another resource called Haro. That stands for help a reporter out. And basically, how that works is that you say that you're an expert in education. I'm not sure of education if you can get more specific than that, but basically, it'll send you a digest, and you can set that to be daily or weekly digest of different opportunities or different journalists who are looking for expert quotes. And at the end of the day, if your quote is accepted, then you'll get that link back from your website. That's a strategy I've used with my own business, and I've really gotten some really good backlinks from some really big websites in the online marketing space. So highly recommend it, and I will share that link with you in the email. And that wraps up the second part of this video about off-page SEO. Now for the third part, I'm going to actually go back to the website, and I'm going to talk a little bit about content. And so I'm going to start here on your academic programs page. And I see that you have different programs, Genius in Training, enrichment honors programs, test prep program, and online homework help. And right now, except for the test prep program, these are all on one page. And what I highly recommend is that you split up these different pages. So maybe having like a brief snippet about, a brief description about the program, and then linking off so that it has its own dedicated page. And the reason why you want to do this is because someone who's looking for Genius and training programs, it looks like it's designed for students who are struggling or behind a grade level in reading, math, or writing. It's going to be very different for parents who are looking for enrichment and honors programs, because these students are, as it's described here, it sounds like they're on the opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to their school performance. So for that reason, you're going to target different keywords for your enrichment honors program compared to your Genius and training program. And the same goes for your other two programs down here. But key takeaway here is try to split these different programs, give them their own page, dedicated page on your website. And that there on those pages, you can really go into detail about the program, maybe provide a video testimonial or testimonial that's specific to that particular program. And then you can actually go after keywords like enrichment honors program or Sugarland, or I'm not sure what you would call this, but maybe something like reinforcement academic program Sugarland. And someone who is searching for a phrase that's related to that, your program page will actually come up. So that's how I would tackle this particular page. Now, moving on to your FAQ. I love the FAQ. I think you have some great questions here. And FAQs, you can always add to them. Because one of the areas of focus I saw from the survey is ADHD in students with dyslexia. So when I kind of go through these FAQs, there's one here for ADHD and ADD, but I don't even see anything for dyslexia. So, and those are both two categories. I'm just using these as an example where you can drill down a lot further and really hone in on different questions and answers for those particular categories. So how do you find questions that people are asking about dyslexia, for example, or ADHD? So there are a few websites that I like to go to, and I'll include these in the email. The first is Quora. So you can actually see here, I typed in Quora school tips for ADHD, and first thing that comes up, what are the best back to school tips for ADHD kids? Maybe you rephrase that a bit. You scroll down a little bit further, you have this featured snippet. So this is this little box that stands out. But here you have, how can you help students with ADHD in the classroom? Can ADHD affect learning? How do you discipline a child with ADHD? These are all questions that your target parents are probably asking or trying to find an answer to. And so these are just when you're able to provide a really good answer to these questions, then that just adds more value to your prospective clients, and you position your website to rank well in these what are called feature snippets. So Quora is one website. Feature snippets is another tactic to use. I also use this website called Answer the Public, and basically what this tool does, it scans all of the internet for anything related to, I believe I typed in ADHD kids. So that can be very general, but just so you see idea how this works, this website scrapes the entire web for questions related to ADHD kids. So ADHD child can't read. So that's a perfect phrase for you because you all offer reading tutoring. Maybe a blog post says, "How can I help my ADHD child make friends?" That would be a good post to target for that particular demographic. And pretty much, I'll share the link to this website, but this is this is a tool I use to find different topics and questions that people are asking. Now, the other two websites I use are called Reddit, which I'm sure you've heard of, and the other website is MetaFilter. And again, I'll include those in the email, so you'll have the links to them if you're looking to pursue those strategies. Now, moving on back to your website. So again, I love your blog. I think I think consistency always is a good sign when you're blogging. Now, what I would do is think about these different topics as categories. So one category I have you under is math tutoring. Another category is reading tutoring. Another category is learning strategies for dyslexic students. Another category would be learning strategies for ADHD students. I know those are just a few of your categories. Another category could be SAT and SAT test prep. Now, think about each of those topics as categories and each piece of content that you add to your website as a supporting article under that category. So just for a visual example, let's say we had a website about power tools. And on that website for power tools, we had different categories. Cordless power tools, electric power tools, gas power tools. So each of these are pillar pages. And then even under cordless power tools, you have different sub pages like cordless drills, cordless planers, and cordless hammers. So these are all sub pages. And this particular category, it's called a silo because all of these pages link together, but they don't necessarily link to other categories. So this is how you maintain the topical relevancy within that silo and within your website. And it all goes back to, making sure you have enough supporting articles and that you're linking only to pages within that category. So to apply this concept to your website, so one of our categories may be learning strategy for ADHD students. So that could be your main category page. So that page is usually going to be long form, maybe 1,500 to 2,000 words. And then under that particular category page, you're going to have different subtopics like how can I help my ADHD child make new friends at school? How can I help my ADHD child focus during exams? And so on. And the idea there is you want to drill down on specific topics. And so with that said, I think you can approach your blogging strategy. One way you can take it to the next level is to apply that silo approach. And I'm going to share with you an article that goes more into detail there about the nuts and bolts, but I think that would be really good to better organize your content. And one more thing, and I'm not sure how much, I know you're a franchise, I'm not sure how much control you have over the website, but try to make these images at least the full column width. I just think it'll look a little bit better, when you look on a website from a mobile device. And then finally, more testimonials. And Again, kind of going back to the recommendation to split up your program pages into different pages, I would have a very specific testimonial for that program on each page. So that's pretty much it for your content. Now I'll move on to social media. So I found your YouTube page and I found your Facebook page. So very good job having both of those. For your Facebook page, I'm sure you noticed, but I think you should just uh, uh, have more activity there. From what I saw, your last post was from 2017, but you've been blogging regularly. So usually what I do, I would take a blog post and just put out different social media posts over the course of a month. So let's say for this post that you published on November 29th, then for December, I would try to schedule out maybe 20 to 30 different social media posts and pretty much just take snippets from that article and use them as posts. I think those are always, a great way to get more legs on any articles or content that you're producing. And then, I would take a look at Twitter and Pinterest. Pinterest might be a good place for you to be because, as I understand, your target audience are mothers. And Pinterest, it's been shown that the majority of their users are women, middle-aged women. So that might align perfectly with the audience you're going after. Now, for YouTube, I checked out the channel and I wasn't sure if this is your franchise channel or your individual channel. But another way you can take your content to the next level is to create videos for these different blog topics. So, one example, I saw an article about note taking. Where is it? Yeah, how to take better class notes. So maybe you can do a whiteboard video where it's just you in your office and you can write down different ways to take notes. I know there are different note-taking strategies, and maybe just present those to your viewers, to your audience, and having that YouTube video, uploading it to YouTube, and then embedding it into the article. That's just a great way to get more visibility for your brand because YouTube is the second largest search engine after Google. And depending on the search term or keyword, YouTube videos do sometimes show up at the top of the search results. So definitely leverage YouTube, leverage Pinterest, and make sure that you are updating your social media accounts regularly. So that wraps up the part about social media. Now moving on to Barnacle SEO. Now you might be asking, what is Barnacle SEO? So Barnacle SEO, just like a barnacle in real life, is where there are some websites, regardless if you did SEO nonstop for 2 or 3 years, it's going to be very difficult for you to outrank them. So some examples of these websites that are relevant to your niche are care.com, dumbtech.com, Wisent.com, and the knowledgeroundtable.com. Basically, these are all directory websites that list businesses such as yours. So instead of trying to beat these high authority websites, it's better just to collaborate with them. And the way you collaborate is to build profiles for the Tutoring Center Sugarland on each of these different profiles. And this way, let's say you'll never beat, the dumbtech.com for a particular keyword. But if you're listed on Thumbtack, you're visible there. So if someone uses Thumbtack instead of going to your website, they still have the opportunity to find you. Now, just to be completely transparent, some of these websites, they do require that you pay a monthly or annual fee, but it's always worth testing because this can be a great lead generation source for your center. And I'll include all of those websites in my email just so that you have them for future reference. Now, going on to the last part of this video, and this is what I call local SEO. So as you know, you're stationed in Sugarland, and really you're only targeting families in Sugarland. It's very unlikely that someone in the Woodlands would drive across town to utilize your services for their child. It could happen, but it's not likely. So what you want to do is make sure that you are positioned very well and highly visible for any of your target keywords, target phrases, target programs for Sugarland. So what do I mean by that? So the first thing is, if I type in your business name into Google, it comes up with your Google My Business profile. And I was really happy that you have one because this is the first step. And I'm even happier that you have some good reviews here. So good reviews, that's something that you can never have enough of. So keep, always make that excuse me, always make that an ongoing strategy to build more reviews on your Google My Business, your Facebook page, and Yelp. Very important because those are usually the places people are going to look when trying to figure out whether to patronize your center. Now, for the questions and answers part here, you can add some of your FAQ. So that'll make your profile stand out a little bit more here. So all of that content you had on your FAQ page, feel free to add it here. Your hours, they're all good. Your phone number is there. That's great. So very good to see that. Now, when I mean you want to improve your visibility for Sugarland related terms. So this is a query I did, SAT test prep Sugarland. So someone who might be a good prospect, that's something that they might type in. As you can see here, this little map pack is called, it's called the Google Map Pack. And you have three businesses here. You have Test Masters, SuperX Learning, Sugarland, and Study Dorm. All businesses in your area. Now, the benefit here is that obviously these stand out a little bit more. They have the review ratings. You can see the phone number directly from the search results, or you can get their website to go directly, get the driving directions directly to their center. Now, you're actually here on the first page. You're, I believe, like number 9. Yeah. So you're here on the first page. But off top, over 30%, over a third of all people or all clicks are going to go to these three businesses. And then after that, the probability goes down dramatically with each listing. So number 1 is going to get more clicks than number 8 or number 9. There are studies that have been shown over and over again. That's usually the way it breaks down. So with the goal of improving your visibility, your goal should be to get into these different map packs. This is only one search result, but different search results related to your services and Sugarland. And so one of the ways you're going to do that is first continue to optimize your Google My Business profile, which we just reviewed. Continue getting those good reviews because as you see, Test Master, they have 1,300. Study Dorm has 37. SuperX, they're catchable. They only have 14. But the benefit you have that all of your reviews are 5-star, which is great. The other thing you want to look at is the consistency of your business listings on other websites. So I ran a scan of your different business listings, and you've done a good job here. You do have some presence, and you're using the correct information on several websites. But there are some important business listing websites where you're not present. So you want to make sure that you add your business here, and there are also going to be issues where the information is consistent. So, for example, on the Chamber of Commerce website, you're simply listed as the tutoring center, where everywhere else you're something, the tutoring center of Sugarland or the tutoring center of Sugarland, and so on. On some websites, you have a different phone number. And so you want to really spend time cleaning up those issues with consistency because going back to the idea that Google, Bing, Yahoo, they're just sophisticated computers. They're not going to be able to go to your website and make the the conclusion that you're a legitimate tutoring center. So one way they determine if a business is legitimate is if their business information is consistent across the web. If you're a legitimate business, your name on Facebook should be the same as your name on Tupelo or on Yellow Pages. It's kind of easy to understand, but sometimes you might not know that the listing is out there, so you're not consistent. So you want to make sure that you clean these types of issues up. And you can use a different service. If you have your login information to any of these websites, you can also go in and correct those information. So I'll actually provide the screenshot of this in the in the um, in the email, and I'll also include some of the more popular services that you can use to clean up these types of issues. So that brings me to the end of the video. I hope it has been helpful, and definitely if you have any questions or need any clarification on anything, feel free to reach out. Thanks, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.